Welcome everyone back to another episode of the ECOMsquare Overshare. And today I'm very happy to be joined by one of our founding ECOMsquare co-working members, Mike Trujillo, who is the co-founder of Can Do. Hi, Mike.
Hi, how are you?
So you're the co-founder of Can Do.
Mhm.
So could you share a little bit about like what are you guys into? I know you're interested in the sort of the circular economy, broadly
Yeah.
speaking. Yeah.
So circular economy, for a lot of people who don't understand it, we consume things right now in what we call a linear economy. We make something and we grab all the natural resources. We make a beautiful cell phone. We use it, consume it, and then we throw it away. And what circular economies are trying to do is start looking at keeping all that waste out of landfill, but more importantly, how to design in a way where everything is reusable. How can we design something intelligently such that every component has a purpose? And once you are done with that, there's another purpose for it, and then you can harvest those items and return them back into some other material that's going to be used upstream, downstream from your materials. So right now, our company's focused primarily on reducing landfill, looking at ways of focusing on mainly the landfill issue, but circular economy is a giant worldwide effort, and we're proud to be part of that.
I was gonna say that's got to be like a massive project because as soon as you say what you said, there's like there's just a million things that
There's a number of companies that play in this space, and we're focusing on the landfill area. Go ahead.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, so like how exactly do you like who are you working with? How are you engaging with that issue of landfill and sort of what's the lay of the land with that issue? What's causing this problem? What is the problem? How do you guys work to help?
Well, when you try to save the world, it's a hard thing to do by yourself. So
Yeah.
So we started with the vision of so the company was actually founded by Aaron Laszlo, our founder, and a number of us worked at Nokia,
Okay.
and we worked for a big global company that was trying to connect the world. That was our I think it was called Connecting People or some connection kind of theme. Over time, Aaron and has really developed a fondness for trying to give back to the world rather than just taking and making a business where we're going to make a lot of money and become filthy rich. Is how can we actually do something, still make money, but make the world a better place. And so what we did was Aaron has reached out to a lot of his friends and cohorts over time, has built a small company. Um, we focus in Vancouver because that's partly because Aaron lives in Vancouver, but also it's got an amazing community of companies and individuals that really care about the environment, care about the world. The Vancouver Economic Commission was hosting a series of webinars on circular economy. We started listening in on those around September, started developing an incredible network of people that care about this space. I'm actually from Austin, Texas, but I've planted myself here in Vancouver and trying to move up here and finding an amazing city that has incredible caring people that care about the world and care about the environment and really want to help and support one another. So we recognize in order to do this, you cannot do this alone. You have to build community. We're building community here. We have to engage with all the players, whether it's government, individual citizens, or businesses. We're doing that here very successfully, and it's a great place to start a business in a sustainability kind of model.
Yeah, the appetite is there. I think we had like the first green member of parliament was from BC.
Mhm.
That sort of that appetite maybe lives in BC a little bit
Well,
more.
I gotta tell you a better story. This is a much better story. I'm sorry,
Okay.
it'll delay it, but it's quite funny. But I'm
Yeah.
walking down the street, and so there's multiple Vancouver themes to this story. I'm walking to the street to get a bus. You got a great bus system. There's a guy walking a bicycle. Bicycles, you got them all over the place. It was a junky bicycle because he doesn't want it stolen, and
Yeah.
so it's falling apart. So he's walking by a construction site. By the way, your subway is going to be awesome when it's built in 20 years. And he's digging
Yeah.
out he's digging out a nylon tie behind the construction fence, and he can't dig it out. Well, I look over and there's this twig growing out of a lamppost on the street. Literally, it's an urban little, twig, maybe about, I don't know, 30, 40 centimeters high. And it's a twig, but it's growing. I said, why don't you snap off the twig and reach out and get out and get that little nylon tie, and he goes, "Oh no, that's nature." It's like, and I just thought it was beautiful. To me, it's a beautiful story.
Yeah.
It sort of it typifies what Vancouver's all about, down to their heart, right? They love nature. They don't want to do anything to interfere with nature, even if it's a weed on the side of the street.
Right. So you have a population there that has sort of the will to be more conscious of their consumption and things like that. But I think a problem that you see everywhere, the momentum of our society doesn't go in that direction.
Hmm.
Right? It's like if you're living in the world, you're going to be consuming most likely a bunch of things that are not contributing to that project. So it can be difficult for those individuals to do that. So I guess like my question is, where do you think that the biggest lever is, if there is one, to sort of get to that get to that place where the economy on a larger scale is more circular? Is it about social sort of community education engagement, like getting that sentiment higher in the populace? Is it about business owners and what they're optimizing for? Is it about government and sort of maybe like, putting in place regulation, or where do you see sort of the opportunity to succeed in that project on a large scale?
Wow, I thought you were going to talk about office space. By the way, the ECOMsquare office space is wonderful. You should come there. No, the so uh, that's a really, I mean, you get down to the heart of the business, right? And so what we recognize is there's actually multiple tiers of people, right? There are
Okay.
people who will do anything they can, a community small, maybe 20%, that will actually go out of their way to do something. The challenge we have with that community is they don't know what to do,
Yeah.
right? So we have to educate them. Education becomes a critical component. Do you know the items that you're buying? You might be better packaging alternatives or better environmental alternatives if you were to consider product A over product B. So education becomes a critical component. Landfill. If you actually look at the landfill, we spoke to the director of the Vancouver landfill that's out in like Delta or further south down by the airport. And the major waste that's coming in is construction waste, right? I mean,
Okay.
significant, like a lot of it. And the challenge isn't you or me buying wood at Home Depot, it's understanding where is the construction waste coming, what can we do to deflect it, how we can make it more cost effective for people that care about it and recycling it. What incentives can we put in on the city? So, as an example, this is one example of a model that's working or starting to work. I'd argue it's not working all the way yet. Coffee cups. So you go into these coffee shops, you get your coffee cup, you drink it with a plastic lid and a little sleeve on it, and you toss it away. And Vancouver wants you to stop doing that. So they've assessed a 25-cent tax. But before you can do that, you got to have an alternative. And so
Okay.
there's two companies. Cody Irwin runs a company called Sharewares, and I forget Anastasia's last name, but she's a co-founder over at Renewables. And both of them are looking at renewable cups and a whole infrastructure that has to be in place that can take plastic or reusable containers. You put a deposit on those, but you're getting your money back, and you have to have a system that retrieves them, cleans them, an entire infrastructure in place to do that. And then the city can assess a 25-cent tax to incentivize people to use them, right?
I see.
So these circular economies have to happen in cooperation between the business, between local businesses and larger businesses and the city and and the citizens of the city. And it takes a while to build all that up. And so that becomes these other areas. You have to build all these in partnerships. You have to think of these in circles. This is circular economies are basically these circles of consumptions. You have to think of that entire circle from everything from making it to consuming it to what you do with it when you're done. And how do you close the loop on those circles and make everyone aware of it? And that's kind of what our business is about, one circle at a time.
Okay, so you guys are there to connect people that need to hear this message to like
Excellent.
the
Yep.
people that can solve it. Yeah.
Connecting is a key word here. It's a very key word. Yes. A lot of companies doing innovative things, right? We're here to connect them. We're not going to invent the coffee cup business that Cody's already invented. We're not going to go off and Jen Henry is running another business that she's doing, and we're not going to invent her business. And Blythe runs a company called Tradle, and we're not going to run his business. But what we can do is find ways to connect all those people. Ways we can educate people of what you can do, where you can get the products that are more sustainable. Find these businesses. What actions can you take? Educate you along the way. Perhaps
Hmm.
give you some rewards and incentives to keep going. And do these little one circles at a time. We'll start here in BC, start in Vancouver, expand to the rest of BC, find other parts in Canada. We've got ventures started up in Europe and the US. And it grows, but it's something you don't wave a wand and fix this thing overnight, right? It'll take a long time, but you do them in the areas that have the largest impact.
Right, like an investment in the future a little bit.
Exactly.
Where do you find like is there sort of an obstacle to your project that you find pops up regularly?
Save the world? No obstacles at all. Not none at all. I have no idea. No, of course
Yeah,
there's tremendous obstacles, and when you get stuck, you've got to reach out for help. You can't be afraid. There's people in the office. There's people in the community and people, friends of friends that we can reach out to that help us really think through the problems. The nice
yeah,
thing about businesses in BC is I don't feel we compete. Austin is a very competitive city. Silicon Valley is an extremely competitive city. Vancouver really is much more open. And as far as a business and running a business out of Canada and in particular in Vancouver, it feels much different. You got a giant support system with the government. You got a very generous grant system and ways to get money and get your businesses off the ground. A lot of cities and local businesses are very supportive. We run into obstacles all the time, but the great thing is that we feel like we've got a lot of support here that we wouldn't have somewhere else.
okay, interesting. And there's no sort of like there's no theme that comes across to you and sort of like, oh, again, we're running into sort of, a problem with businesses that want to maximize profit, for example, or
Well,
a lack
what?
of government will or something.
No, no, it's not that.
No.
The problem is there's too many things you can do, and there. I mean, the grant system. I'm not a Canadian citizen, so I don't.
Mhm.
I'm not familiar with it a lot. But it seems to me like this grant is very specific for, City of Vancouver with people that have, First Nation heritage, whose last name ends in a vowel. That what I mean? They're very specific, and we've got
Yeah,
500 different options for grants, but this one can only be used for this thing, right?
yeah.
And there, so those are some difficult things. But again, with people in this community, it's very helpful. We run
Mhm.
into a lot of obstacles, especially in the circular economy business, where a great example is with Sharewares and Cody. He wants to specialize in the cleaning systems. That's what his specialty is. But in order to do that, he has to supply the cups. He has to get drivers to do the cups. He has to get business people to engage with the coffee shops to do this. I mean, there's a whole infrastructure he has to build in order to do the one thing.
Right. Yeah,
Every
yeah.
one of the businesses we're looking at, someone wants to specialize in a little piece, but there's a lot of we'll call them middlemen and the people in the middle that have to get things from point A to point B, and we're trying to figure out how do you build a community like that, right? When you want a restaurant that wants to buy food, you've got distributors lined up, you've got people that can supply you with all that
Yeah.
stuff, and it's easy to insert yourself into those supply chains. As you're trying to redefine the supply chain, as we are, as the circular economies are, that's really difficult. And so every one of these, we'll call them circles, every one of these small little micro communities are a lot of things you have to kind of build up, and it takes a long time to build them up and get them into this circular pattern rather than a linear pattern.
Interesting. Yeah, it makes sense. I mean, you're battling like generations of momentum in a certain direction and
Mhm.
everything that
Absolutely.
comes along with that. Yeah. I always
Yep.
think of planned obsolescence was something I learned about in school, which just
Uh-huh.
absolutely blew my mind. Which is basically, for anyone listening who doesn't know, it's the design of a product to break or malfunction after a certain period so that you
Mhm.
need to
Buy
buy a
another one.
replacement. Yeah, so
Exactly.
they really actually don't make them like they used to. That's a true fact.
Yep.
Yeah,
Well, I
stuff
mean,
like
cell
that.
phones are a great example, right? I mean,
Yeah.
I'm talking to you right now. I'm using adapting my Pixel, and I have a Pixel 3. I
Hmm.
think we're up to Pixel 6 right now. And there's part of me that wants to buy the Pixel 6 because it's the Pixel 6. It's better,
Mm-hmm.
bigger than the 3. It's got a bigger camera that I can't really necessarily use. Got a lot of features and more space that I don't necessarily really need. But there's an enormous amount of demand that's put on consumers. In fact, that's one of the things we are looking at is how do you stop them being consumers? Right?
Yeah.
We're not here to consume every resource on the planet. Businesses need this, but how can we help those businesses redefine themselves in repurposing equipment? And how do you do that with keeping the businesses going as well as keeping everything in play, all of these materials? How do you keep them in play, and how do everyone how can people make a dollar at it when the reality of the large companies want you to consume their
Yeah.
stuff every 2 years?
Yeah. I think a huge issue in general is the just optimization of profit. Above all, profit as being a good in and of itself, as like,
Well, no, but every one of these businesses have to be profitable, right? Despite
no, of
saving the
course.
world, and right, you have in order for this to really work, because there's a lot of nonprofits that are jumping into this
Yeah.
space. But until
Yeah.
businesses can actually see the benefit, right, either through incentives through government where there's levies put on. By the way, landfill is super cheap. It's unbelievably cheap what you can throw away. So if you don't have any penalty of throwing shit, I'm sorry,
Yeah.
if you
That's okay.
don't swear on live TV on a podcast.
Yeah.
But if you have a lot of stuff that you have to get rid of, and it's super cheap just to throw it away, then where's the incentive to recycle? Where's the real incentive to do these circular economies? They have to be incentives, but you also have to have good infrastructure in place to make use of the materials.
Right.
So as much as we want to reuse the wood, we've got to have an infrastructure in place that can make use of the wood before we can start levying higher costs on landfill on wood, as an example.
Right. That's interesting. So do you think that the project can be successful purely economically? Like you think that
It
the
has to
path
be.
forward, the path, it has to be, there's
It has to be.
no,
If there's not, if you can't make businesses that lose money, right? You can't change things and
no, of course. Yeah, not lose money, but I think, for example, like there's a business that could make, their margin could be 45% or it could be 50%. And do you have to make them accept that 45%? And everyone's going to get paid and everything's going to be fine, but there's that 5% you're leaving on the table because you're optimizing not only to maximize profit at every turn. Is that something that needs to happen, or do you think it can be accomplished where the best business, pure number business decision is also the circular economy decision?
let's break this into pieces, right? So it takes a while. There's an adoption curve. Most business people know the adoption curve that's used by Geoffrey Moore in Crossing the Chasm.
Mm-hmm.
There's a group of people that jump onto something because it's the latest, greatest. They're the visionaries, or there's a radical group that's in there, but they're basically the ones that jump on any new technology. There's the person that got the first, the first digital watch from Apple, the iWatch or whatever they call it. Those people are the ones they're really easy to grab this stuff, and they become somewhat influencers. So in the beginning, right, when we look at these businesses, we have people that are willing to pay a premium for this kind of work. They're excited about it. They want to engage. It's not mass market, but it's enough to get things going and get a business going. So, for example, right, Cody's business with the cups. There are people out there that will go to a specific coffee shop and buy coffee at these shops to use Cody's cups because they like it. Technically, they're not paying more money, but they're paying $1.50 for the deposit on the cup. It's a little extra work for them because they've got to remember to bring the cups back to the shop, and they're not sort of saving money, but that's not the purpose, right? So there's that group of people.
Yep.
Over time, the city might really incentivize where these cups are really key, and you're paying $2 or $3 for a cup of coffee more because it's in a paper cup. And now there's the incentive on the other direction where there's government incentive to make things happen, right? Car gas mileage is set by governments, not by individuals who decide that they want. Well, in this city, gas is very expensive, and there's a lot of Teslas on the road, so electric is really popular, more expensive. But they see this as a long-term benefit. But again, every one of these businesses are financially successful, but the incentives are set up where you're making different choices because financially these are better choices for you. To make circular economies really work, it has to be financially beneficial, either through government incentives and subsidies, through public shaming, through just the scarcity, right? I mean, there's only so much lithium on the planet, and lithium ion batteries at some point we're going to have to find a way to make sure we keep care of those. Copper, there's limited copper, and you find copper is very precious, and people are taking extra care on harvesting copper out of waste. So there are a lot of ways you have to make this profitable long term. In the short
Yeah.
term, people will pay more, people will support you, but it's a small group. To get mass market, it has to be profitable for everybody.
Yeah. So do you see sort of like have you seen sort of some, maybe if we can bring it back to e-commerce, but not necessarily, but sort of some industry leaders, some sort of world leading brands that you think are credibly contributing to this kind of thing? Because I think like when you have so many, it's like you can get a million small e-commerce brands to change their
Mm-hmm.
packaging, but if Nike doesn't, like that's a drop in the ocean. So
Yep.
do you have you seen sort of this movement translate into some bigger players in maybe in the e-commerce space or any space?
So we're distant in this at this point. So there are a lot of companies that are what we'll call talking the talk, right? They
Hmm.
need, and what we're seeing there's a hierarchy of things happening. So there's a company called, I think it's called Upright, doesn't matter, that they are doing assessments on companies to understand their, let's just call their circularity. You know, how good are they on these environmental issues? Because when you look at companies that are individuals, organizations, institutions that are investing in businesses, you want to build in, people are looking to make sure sustainability is part of their model, right? That's an extremely important thing now when people are looking at investing in companies, right? Because if they're not sustainable, they don't have a plan. You don't think they're going to be around for a while. They're making the world a worse place. You know they're going to get pulverized down the road at some point. So there's a lot of attention at a high level in that space. A lot of companies that are raising hands saying we want to be in this space. Fashion is an interesting thing. There's a lot of brands that are associated with Jibe and the e-com space, especially being in Vancouver, and they are, they were part of the circular economy discussions on fashion is a problem, right? Fashion is a giant problem. Literally when you finish your clothing, it goes to landfill. It might go to Goodwill or a Salvation Army or some charity, but often it just ends up in landfill. And
Yeah.
they're working through those areas and trying to understand those better, understand different choices on how they design, different fabrics that they're using, etc. What we're noticing here, and I don't know a lot about them, but we did a lot of interviews with some of the thought leaders here in town. And one of these most surprising companies in my mind is this company called Canadian Tire,
Yep.
and they sell more than tires. It's like for me, for this bizarre kind of place where I was looking for something and I saw Canadian Tire sold like coffee pots, and I thought, what? But
Yeah.
evidently, Canadians are very familiar with the brand. And
Yep.
what's interesting about the brand is they're also really strongly embracing trying to understand reuse and repurposing of items. And they're putting a lot of money into research. There's
Hmm.
a company out of Finland called Citra. It's a nonprofit. I think it's a nonprofit, a research think tank. And they're working with that organization of trying to understand where can you reuse, repair, recycle items? How can they be better part of it? And that's a big part of their messaging. So the companies are walking up to the edge. They're not jumping in. They still need to make money.
Yeah.
They are willing to put some money in partnerships and investing, hackathons, whatever they can do because they want to be part of it and they want that to be part of their message. But at the same time, there's other companies that will speak the message. And if you've ever used, let's say there's a giant carrier based out of Seattle, we won't say their name, but you buy stuff all the time online and a box shows up on your desk, on your front porch with all these packing materials. And it doesn't seem like there's big effort on what to do with all that cardboard, right? So they may
Yeah.
talk a talk about doing a lot of stuff, but there isn't anything really demonstrable showing up where they're making that attempt yet. And so, we are all looking at our carbon footprints. We're all looking at waste. Um, that pressure has to come in from everywhere, right? We have to be more aware of it. We have to make better choices. Business have to make better choices, and we have to hold them accountable. And I think it's going to take some time, but we're seeing a few that are bubbling up in fashion. Arc'teryx is one of them, and what's the other one? MEC, is that one?
Yeah. Mountain Equipment Co-op.
MEC, those two are doing some interesting things here in town. We've got Canadian Tire, another Canadian company. And then there are Ellen MacArthur Foundation, which is the big umbrella of circular economies. It's a nonprofit based out of the UK, global
Hmm.
leader in this space, thought leaders in this space, and businesses are flocking to that organization, trying to learn best practices, trying to share stuff through that organization. And again, it's a lot of work, but
Right.
many companies are making the effort.
Yeah. And I think as a consumer, is there anything you can kind of I could keep an eye out for? Because I think whenever I hear that a company is engaged in some sort of social cause, I'm a bit skeptical because it's easy to make an Instagram post. It's easy to throw something up on the website, and you can't, I don't know. Sometimes there's useful, I think, maybe not one-to-one sort of proof or not proof, but I think there's useful things you can look at. Like a good example, not to like delve into controversy or whatever, but I think like racial diversity is a big
Mhm.
top
Of
has been a big topic as well, where it's
course.
sort of that social cause. And you see tons of brands during Black History Month or at whatever time sort of championing their own diversity. And I think an interesting sort of test of that is you can see these companies that are making all these claims, and then you go to their leadership team,
Mhm.
and when that leadership team is 100% white dudes, you
Mhm.
can sort of be like, okay, so like what do what is this really, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
And
Hmm.
is there a corollary in the circular world where it's sort of like, oh, you're talking this talk, but here's a couple of here's a couple of details that would sort of prove it, that it's more than just a brand exercise.
Yeah. So the first thing I would recommend is always question whether you need to buy it.
Yeah.
Always, right? That's the first thing. You have a place in this. Like I said, I want to buy a new Google Pixel 6, right? I don't need to.
Yeah.
So one is looking at repairs. So there are a number of places I probably can get the screen repaired, which is really what's wrong, and a new battery, and it will cost X, right?
Yep.
So repair becomes an option for me. I could buy a used device. So there's refurbished devices out there that I can buy a 5, which is better than my 3 and has better capabilities and gets good reviews, and I can decide to buy differently.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things I think to look at is exactly what you talked about, which is as these products are doing a lot of work in this, think of the entire process from the making of the product. There are a number of websites that will tell you the carbon footprint that's used. You'll see it on the Amazon site. They'll show you the carbon footprint of the things that you're making or
Okay.
you're
Yep.
buying, right?
Yep.
Understand the packaging issues that come with it. Understand if the companies are, again, where most of your consumption is going to be. It's grocery stores, right?
Okay.
And if you're doing a lot of online shopping, you have to start asking yourselves, are there better alternatives to shopping local rather than buying all the cardboard and packaging materials if you're doing stuff online? Look at
Mm.
your dump. Look at the stuff you're throwing away, and what can you be doing differently that will make a difference?
Yeah.
Are you at zero waste, or is your trash bin full of regular waste? How good are you recycling? And recycling, be honest with you, is not very good. Even if you put it in the bins, they don't really make it where they need to go. So the recycling efforts they have a huge issue of trying to get improvement on it, and where they go is a whole different issue. But the biggest thing you can do is limit the amount of stuff you're consuming and limit the amount of landfill. And then
Interesting.
start looking at companies that are doing real serious things with. You're going to buy a phone. What companies are doing the most with phones, right? You can research that pretty easily. If you're going to make some of your big electronic decisions have a pretty big impact. Some of your car decisions have a big impact. And those things you can do a little research on them. There's plenty of information out there. Just be aware of it, right? And as we're spinning up our company, hopefully you're going to have an app that's going to help you make those decisions.
That'll help you out. Yeah. I was going to say, I had a couple of questions off of that. So I think one, following up from what you just said, are there some sort of like keywords that people are looking to search? Like, say I'm looking for a phone or an electronic thing. How am I searching for this kind of information?
Well, I mean, one of the things typically sustainability becomes the buzzword for people, but
Okay.
circular economy is an area that really probably plays more. It's a very inside kind of word. It's not a consumer word, so it's more of a market word. You can
Okay.
see some of the research that's being done on circular economies with things. Um, what you want to be looking for is how are the products being designed, where they're going to be reused and repurposed. So there's a big effort
Yeah.
right now around the U.S. and I'm not sure how big it is in the Canada. It's the right to repair bills that are going on. So, for instance, if an appliance in your home has a problem, there's a million YouTube videos out there that will tell you how to hack a solution, but finding their operator's manual or the maintenance manual for that is really hard to get. And often manufacturers don't like giving that information out.
Right.
And in the right to repair states, those informations need to be public. So as you're making items, you will see companies that are doing the kinds of work on making repair part of their business. Nothing's going to be
Yeah.
perfect.
Yeah.
And also the reality is you can spend your entire day researching this stuff and at some point you got to buy it. So, there are going to be groups, there are sustainability groups on Facebook. There's a number of places you can do it. Main thing is just look at where you're spending your money, question whether or not you should be spending money and buying things.
Yeah.
Always look at things of repair and reuse as much as you can, and just try to keep everything that you buy in play. Right? It doesn't go into a bin outside your street or alley. To make sure that it all has a decent home. And if you can do that, then you're playing your part.
Thing. Yeah, that's really cool. So, um, yeah, I could just keep going forever. I actually did hear that
We
they
can we
made
can do this. We can do this for a whole week. There's so much that can be good because the system is so. I mean, I'm not trying to. I mean, it's the reality of what the system is like. The fortunate thing with scarcity, when we're running out of elements, is you have to start seriously rethinking things. Right? City of
right.
Vancouver only has so much landfill. All through Europe, they have very limited space to do landfill, and they're very, very, very cautious on these rules.
Hmm.
Europe leads. They start pushing out new regulations and new things that trickles over to the Americas. Canada's a leader in this space. Some states in the U.S. are starting to take notice. And it takes time, right? You need infrastructure. You need so much to make all this stuff work. But
Yeah.
until we all start working on it together, until we start building these communities, working on things in these circles, we're gonna be stuck.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, you need that will, you need that action. You need to
Yep.
like amplify your power because you're up against like I said before, just generations of a completely different emphasis, different
Hmm.
direction that our entire system was built up on. So that's amazing. That's awesome work. Switching gears a little bit in your quest to save the world, you found yourself at ECOMsquare
Uh-huh.
in Vancouver. So I'm curious. I'm interested. Like, what made you personally, or you as a company, choose to get into ECOMsquare as a workspace?
I get goosebumps on this one. So we've been working remotely. Like I said, I've been out of Austin, Texas. My partner here is in Vancouver. We have another partner that bounces between here and Helsinki. And we weren't making a lot of progress. And we were doing okay, but when you're working at home, you discover this. Sometimes it's hard to work at home when youngins come in and interrupt you while you're in the meeting, or the doorbell rings and you got to do something, or you got to mow the lawn or run an errand, right? And those things kind of get in the way. Some people are good and some people aren't, but when you start building up a whole team, you need some time to collaborate.
Yep.
So we were attempting to do this where people were crashing into the library meeting spaces with masks on. It was becoming problematic. As COVID started opening up a little bit more, I decided to literally fly here. But the moment we got together, right,
Yep.
things started popping. Now, Alacrity, which is run, I think its founder is Owen Matthews. He's connected in with Steve and the folks there, and he knew this was starting up and introduced us. We don't fit in that perfect profile that you're looking for. However, right, it has been an incredible place for us. We're bumping into people. There's Sean that sits next to us. He's a web guy, and he's kind of helped out. There's a new woman that popped up yesterday. I forget her name. That's also doing some work. That just was listening in on conversation and popped in with some ideas. Um, we're talking about looking at getting some funding and looking at some grants, and we get some other ideas from there. I mean, just it's more than a co-working space. So I've been in co-working spaces in Austin. They tend to be sit over here, don't talk to anybody, avoid eye contact, and
Yep.
go. And this workspace is aesthetically beautiful, nice setup with nice big monitors, really super fast Wi-Fi. Um, just a smart design, very aesthetically pleasing. As I mentioned, it's got a club room in the basement. We hosted an event for the circular economy. We decided this was a great venue to introduce people to. So we're also kind of in part of this is helping to support Steve and the organization. Um, he builds it as a co-working space. He's focused on e-com, but the reality is it's sort of a pseudo incubator in many ways. I mean, not explicitly like an incubator, but you can go in and get good advice, great networking. Beautiful city. It's very close to downtown. Um, I mean, there's very little to say bad about it. By the way, there's coffee, like three coffee machines. So, and you can get in before 8 o'clock and get coffee, which is a weird thing in the city. No one comes in
Yeah.
the office that early, but I do. And so
Okay.
you can come in and get coffee early. So if I do need coffee before 8 o'clock, I can do that quite easily. Um, and it's a great networking space. Yeah, it's a great place to network, and there's a lot of stuff going on after work. He has a writing group that does bicycle riding on Wednesday. This is a great bicycle town.
Right.
And like I said, there's a lot of like NFTs are another a space he's specializing in, and their meetup meets in the office,
Hmm.
and they're also expanding. So it's just a wonderful office, wonderful location. I can't give enough praises.
That's so great to hear. Yeah, I'm so happy to hear that you're getting that sort of cross pollination
Hmm.
between people. That was the whole idea. That was the really the grounding, I think,
Yep.
concept that Steve wanted to bring to life. So that's awesome to hear that. Um, I mean, that was just a wonderful testimonial. I feel like I don't even need to say anything else. That was just like, we'll just put that, no edits, no cuts. I'll edit myself out. You don't need me. That's perfect.
No, but
um,
I'm really serious about this because I mean, so Austin has this thing called um, it's called Capital Factory.
yep.
Capital Factory is an incubator. It's one of the best in the country. Absolutely awesome place. And it's downtown Austin on a top, multiple stories in this monster high rise in downtown. The guy who built it was actually founded his company in the building and is now pretty much taken over 3 or 4 floors on there with this incubator. And basically, you go in, you pay some money, you give up part of your company. A bunch of mentors are circling you, which in many ways they're circling you kind of like vultures.
Okay.
Um, you don't necessarily, I mean, there's a lot of activity in this. It's a giant organization, but you can get lost very quickly.
Yep.
And it's not as supportive as I think it could be because it's too
Okay.
big. There's
Right.
another incubator that I was with that had the complete opposite effect. Plenty of space to sit, but not a lot of strong networking that came along with it. You also have the
Interesting.
co-working spaces where you just plop up a desk and again, you're just sitting at a desk and there's really very little networking that goes on, and they're located very nice. There's obviously the big name we all know about. They have offices all around the country. I've been to
Hmm.
those. I've been to small little boutique places. And again, what you're doing is you're literally just finding a desk and staying away from people and hope they keep quiet, right? Um,
Hmm.
that's not what we have here. This is They're people with names. I keep a list of all their names because some of them only pop in once a month. So I want to remember who they are. They have interesting backgrounds. They have interesting stories to share, perspectives of professional stuff and great places to eat and that kind of stuff. And those are the kind of things you can look for in a workplace.
Yep.
But you don't got to be there every day. And there's a lot of little places to break out. Um, it's just what comparing apples to the other apples of these other places. This is an awesome place. It's an absolutely awesome place.
Cool. What do you think? Like, so is that sort of the key differentiating factor that you think? Like, what is giving that? What is creating that environment where people are sharing their stories and helping each other?
What makes it different is I think it starts from the top, right? With Steve and Michael, they're gracious hosts. Always, no matter what goes on their thing, they take time. They're doing tours. They stop. They chat with you. They check in with you. They want to know what you're doing, and they share what they're doing.
Mhm.
When they're hosting events, they're inviting you to the events. Um, and when you have that kind of connection that happens very quickly, you kind of feel a little obligation to pay it to pay it forward. And so when new people come in and they sit adjacent to us, we always try to make sure we at least say hi and learn a little bit about them. How are they connected in this world? And make sure they kind of know, it's kind of like here's a little trick on the coffee machine, right? You got to know this, and this is where you put the milk. This is where you get the milk, and this is where you need something stocked. Those are kind of little hints of things that go on. So you kind of have this little community, and then top of it, it becomes hosting of the events, right? So when these events are happening, we hosted an event, and my goodness, we got support, right? They actually marketed our event for us. I'm not suggesting they do it all the time, but this was an opportunity that they did for us,
Yeah.
using their network as well as our network, which was nice. We had 50 people show up for this event, which was really nice. They helped us in marketing it. We paid for the food and the cleanup. Didn't have to pay for the room. Oh, actually, we're paying for it in our normal stuff. But I mean, it wasn't like it just was a natural extension of a relationship that just is helping our business. And so, again, when you have that graciousness at the top and an open way in which people are talking, and a city that's very open and friendly, it just sort of a natural thing to do, right? If you were not like that, you wouldn't find this place very interesting.
Yeah, yeah, that's great. I think like one thing that Steve really wanted to do was we would always emphasize the flat hierarchy, which like what you were talking about with the incubator in Austin, where you're there and you sort of have these mentors and automatically there's a power dynamic there.
Absolutely,
And
absolutely.
like so everything you're saying is just great to hear from like yeah, feeling connected on a as equals to the sort of the people that you're there in the space with
No,
and
I have one
we
complaint though.
yeah.
I have one complaint.
Okay. Yeah,
Here it
let's
comes.
hear
You
it.
ready?
Yeah, let's hear it.
Um, I wish I could find something bad to say about Steve. Like usually, right? There's just something. So he's super smart. You see him writing occasionally code. He's one of the most patient people. I'm waiting for him to blow up on someone. He's never blown up on anybody. He's style. My goodness, that place has style. And
Yeah.
and even his office. You look at his office. You can see it. This comes out from him. Um, um, he has got a profile picture on one of the social media things. I think it's on a Slack profile where you can tell he was a bit of a rebel before now, and he's got a little rough edge about him that was kind of cool. But just,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm being silly, but he's an amazing individual, and I think a lot of that has to do with all of the things he's really good at, kind of all come into this building, right? It's this. He wants to get Vancouver a good tech place and really strong network. Boom, that's it. A really strong heart on giving and collaborating. Boom, done that. Style and sophisticated design. He's got that, right. Laid back and sharing. Boom, he's got that. Like there's all of this great stuff that's all kind of piled into this little box area, and yeah, it's a really neat place.
That's awesome. I mean, thank you so much for taking the time. I've taken way over what I said I was going to take. I think I said half an hour and it's been
You lie to me.
I lied. It's a bold face lie. It's been almost an hour, I think. I can't
Yeah,
remember
it
when I
has been.
started.
Yeah,
Yeah, but I appreciate it so much. It was really nice to meet you as well and
very
just
nice
chat
meeting
as
you.
well. Thank you so much.
Okay, thanks so much. Take care. Have a
Have a good
good rest of
weekend.
your day.
You
Okay,
too.
bye bye.
Bye.